Good morning to our viewers across the world. It's 8 a.m. here in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital, and you're tuned in to the weekend show exclusively on Africa Independent Television. On this program, we engage in intellectual discussions regarding lifestyle, sports, politics, and development. But first things first, we have an exciting chef in the building today. Chef Tavo, how are you?
Good.
Awesome. What are you going to make for us today?
So basically today I'm just going to make something a bit simple, but I'm basically just going to turn it over its head. So I'm going to make chicken breast with some dankali, sweet potato, with some tomatoes, some microgreens as well, and then a chicken jus as well.
I can't wait to try it. So don't go anywhere. The headlines are up next. Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. The topic of discussion is the role of fathers in raising children. Father's Day is a day honoring fatherhood and parental bonds, as well as the influence of fathers in society. In Catholic countries across Europe, it has been celebrated on March 19th as St. Joseph's Day since the Middle Ages. In America, Father's Day was founded by a woman named Sonora Smart Dodd, and it has been celebrated on the third Sunday of June. And in Nigeria, we've copied that tradition and celebrated it on the same day, which will be tomorrow, June 21st. Perhaps most of you watching just remembered and are frantically scrambling to put together a last-minute gift for your dad. But I'll implore you to chill, relax, sit back, and engage in this topic of discussion. Joining us in today's program, we have
Olasunbo Odebode. She is a child protection specialist, harmful practices at Unicef Nigeria. Welcome to the weekend show.
Thank you very much.
Joining us virtually, we have Feb Idahosa, the president of Benson Idahosa University, and Apostle Anselm Madubuko, Revival Assembly Ministry International, joining us virtually also. Welcome to the weekend show, gentlemen.
Gentlemen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're most welcome. I'll start with you, Pastor Feb Idahosa. When we talk about the role of fathers in raising children, most times society or culture requires fathers to play more of an aloof role. With the pandemic, giving the lockdown, more fathers are now giving kudos to their wives for the hard work they have to put in raising children. Do you believe the coronavirus pandemic and the forced lockdown has enabled fathers assume more of a responsibility in terms of the role of raising children?
Absolutely. One of the biggest issues that parents have and families have is that many fathers, even though they're present in the home, are actually absent. And so I've seen coronavirus and pandemic as actually a blessing in so many ways. The truth is, if you live in one of these metropolitan cities where you get up at 5 a.m. and you're back at 10 p.m., you're in the house, but you're not really at home with the children. And so in these times, we've seen fathers just be home. And it's been a real blessing because whether or not you're in the big city or you're in the small city, the issue is that you're actually home. You can spend time with your children, spend time with your family, and it brings a connection. That time really is the best thing you can do for your children. Many times a father doesn't necessarily have to actually be talking all the time, but just the fact that you're actually home and your children know that, okay, my father is there somewhere, makes a big difference. So I think it's been a big blessing. Being home is what's the biggest blessing that has been, because now we can spend time with the children. You can talk to them. You can hear what their dreams are, their aspirations. You can give them ideas, talk to them about what's working, what's not working. And that's how fathers begin to make the jump across that divide.
It's interesting that you've spoken about the role of family and fathers in the house. But I want to speak to Apostle Anselm. We have seen, even in the church and in our family, that parents, the father is seen as the disciplinarian, as the figure of authority. But I also hear the need for love in the family, the need for a relationship between the father and the children, which goes beyond that authoritarian figure where you're just the disciplinarian. How important is love in raising a child between the father and the children?
Yeah, thank you. I believe that just like Feb said, the presence of the father in a home without even doing anything is very powerful, you know. Now it depends on what kind of father you are. You know, some fathers choose to be very, very strong and very difficult. Now, some fathers also are kind and quiet. So that's where this thing comes in. But I believe that the most important thing, the most important responsibility for a father at home is to let the kids know God. You know, God is love. And when you start your family with God, then there's a guaranteed future. So God is love, and so bringing love to the kids is like bringing God to the kids and to the family, and that is the way to go. That's for me is the most important thing. You know, some fathers are so mean that when they're home, the kids are very uncomfortable. You know, they just they want daddy out. They're happy when daddy is away. That may be connected to the love talk, but it depends again on what hand you're using to raise the kids. So I believe love is the most important. Love is God, and it's important for every true father to make sure that a family follow God and nothing else. Thank you.
Mrs. Odebode, let me bring you in here. You're a child protection specialist at Unicef Nigeria.
Yes, please.
And your primary focus is harmful practices against children. What culture have we cultivated between men and their children here in Nigeria? What's the relationship like? What does the culture promote?
Thank you very much, Osasu, and thank you for having me. When you are a father, it means you have children. And as you said, we are celebrating fatherhood. In terms of the culture, Nigeria being a patriarchal society, the fathers are seen as the powerful people at home who are responsible for maintaining law, in quote, and order. And that you find some men taking it to an extreme. When they appear or the sound of the car, the children run for cover. But that is not what it should be. Like the Reverend Father was saying, that there should be love. But from our own perspective for child protection, what does it mean to protect your child? Is to make sure you prevent and respond to any form of violence being faced by the child. So as a father, the onus is on you. You have roles and responsibilities to ensure that the child is protected from any form of violence, in whatever form. Whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's sexual. The way you talk to your child at home, you don't just back out orders that make the children, fear you when you are coming. You have to bring them up in a way that the way you talk to them, it elicits that response from them that, oh, this our father is somebody who is out to protect us, who is after our best interest, who is there to ensure that no evil, when I say evil, no bad thing befalls me as a child. So that is what is expected of a father figure, the role of a protector, in addition to being a provider for the family. And this is what we try to say, that parents have that role, especially, the society believes, oh, mothers are the ones that really care for their children, but it is the responsibility for the two of them. It takes two to tangle anyway. They brought the children to life together, so the onus is on them to ensure that they protect them from any form of violence, prevent it, and also respond.
Talking about violence and protection, I would like to bring Pastor Feb Idahosa back here. With the coronavirus pandemic, we have seen globally domestic violence has increased.
Yeah.
Now, realistically, this has been happening over time. But with people at home, there's still more time for people to stay together, get mad at each other, build relationships, and violence has increased. And so we've discussed several topics, and including rape, where family members may even rape their children. It's interesting that you're the president of a university, and so I'm sure you've also seen cases of violence, boys against girls, and most of these times are from what they've seen in their houses, how the fathers treat the mothers, how the fathers treat the children. They now take it out to the society. And so how do we reconcile this in a situation where we are talking about building a relationship between the parents, the father and the children, but also stopping this domestic violence which has been seen as part of some families?
Well, that's a great question. Domestic violence has been, like you said, around for years, but it's really gotten a lot of coming to the spotlight now in this last couple of months. What we try to do is, there's so much that you need to understand about domestic violence. It's a great talk. It's a big topic. What we talk to our fathers about and to families is this: first of all, you have to value the role of your wife, of your children, value that role. And then also too, for fathers, it's important that they begin to talk to their sons at this very early age. So let me take it one by one. On the first side about children seeing their fathers do something, what happens then is the sons or the daughters even begin to copy what they see at home. It's very, very easy for a son to see the father do something, even though a father says one thing. If he does something different, that's what they see is what they will end up doing. So it's important that fathers then begin to understand that in this time when things are tight, you have a big house where you can escape and go to a different room. You have a small house and you don't have that luxury. Then you have to understand that we can't really go anywhere. So everything you do then becomes an example for your sons, an example for your daughters, an example for your family. It's important then that in that space, the father begins to understand we can't go anywhere. We're in this thing together. We're in this tight room, this tight time. Let's do our best to manage what we can. And that's the one side. I think it's very important for fathers to begin to talk to their sons as well too. At a very early age, I teach my sons that two things. First one is this: that the word no is a complete sentence. So whenever a woman says no, or anybody says no, it means no. They don't have to add anything to it. They don't have to add anything to say no, but, or no, this. The word no means no. And then whenever someone says stop, it means stop. Now, all these things together begin to set an example and set steps for young men to follow. Once you understand, as Apostle was saying just now, that God is love, you must then begin to say, okay, look, how do I follow that example? How do I make sure I bring God's understanding, God's love to my family? All of these things tie together. It's a very, very multifaceted topic to look at, and dealing with each one will take time, take effort. And I want to commend the efforts of Nigeria's Child Protective Services, and Nigeria's trying now to start doing more to protect families. This was not the case years ago. But as it comes and it happens more and more, we see that we can protect children, protect families. That begins to let people know then that it's important that you can't really just get away with just doing anything you want to your children or to your wife, and as if nothing will happen to you. The more we begin to see justice being backed up, then the more we can see these things go on the decline. So thank you to everyone who's working in that space. Thank you, man, for working in that space as well.
Pastor Feb, I'm happy that you are raising your sons to respect women and to see them as human beings, not necessarily a species to be dominated. That is why I want to bring in Apostle here. I want to know what the biblical connotations is when it comes to women. What does the Bible say in respecting women? So how do you bring up your sons within a biblical context to see the women as equals, to respect the women, to love the women, and to obey them when they say no and stop? Apostle.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I've found out in kids is kids are watchers. Kids look at the father. Kids don't really bother about what the father says, but what he does. So the Bible is very clear. Husbands, love your wives, and it's not conditional. Whether they're good or they're bad, we're commanded to love our wives, and it's important for my sons to see me loving their mother. Because that goes a long way in speaking to them than when I say, hey, love your mother, love the women, or respect women. They're watching me go to church, they're watching me pray, they're watching me as a father in the home, rule the house, lead the house in fellowship, in prayer, pay their bills, and all that. So it's important that we are role models to our kids. We leave the work. I'm not just talking, we leave it. And when they see us do that, they grow with that, knowing that that's how my daddy does. And it's important when your son sees you as his perfect role model. It's very powerful. And he goes everywhere and says, my father said this, my father does this, my father. That is the way to go. And when kids are raised that way, they come out solid people to the society. So it's very important that we live the work, that we live the life of a child of God, of a Christian, of God. They want to see us, practice what we preach. It's very powerful, and that's, to me, is very important. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Odebode, we've seen a lot of trainings for women, for children, for teachers, and a lot of men, Nigerian men, are set in their ways based on how they were raised and cultural suggestions saying this is what a man should do, and societal definitions of how men should be versus how women should be. But what are organizations such as yours doing to train and educate men, fathers, on how to handle raising children, sexual and gender-based violence, harmful practice? Who is and how are you training and educating the men? Is that something being done, or is that in the works?
Thank you very much. We encourage the issue of positive parenting because it's very important, like the gentleman was saying. A child that grows up in an environment of violence, they have tendency to grow up to also be violent. So when you learn about positive parenting, telling them no is no, yes is yes, respect my privacy, respect my space, and so on. What we try to do is we engage with men. We don't only train women, because you are talking of gender. It constitutes both male and the female. So we don't just focus on women, we also interact with men to let them know the responsibilities they have, as I said, to protect their children. I'll give you a very quick example. I am the focus person for harmful practices in my organization, and we work on preventing and responding to different forms of violence and harmful practices. We experienced a grandfather. When I say grandfather, you know how the patriarchal norms are at their own time compared to even the present generation. This grandfather was planning to cut the granddaughters who are staying with him during this period of COVID-19. But we happened to be having some sensitization and dialogues at community level. And luckily, Baba happened to be one of the participants, you understand. So when the sensitization, the dialogue, everything was going on, this wonderful man got up and said, having learned what he learned today, he's no longer going to cut the 4 granddaughters that are staying with him under COVID-19.
And just to clear that, you mean female genital mutilation?
Female genital mutilation, Because of the sensitization we do, not only for women, just to tell you that we don't just sensitize women, we don't just train women, we involve the men, because if we don't involve the men, we will not be able to change the narrative.
True.
So without involving them, and we focus only on the women, we are going to have issues. The same thing we do with the boys and the girls. So we were so happy because at least once you are able to change one person, for instance, you will be sure that it will trickle down. If a grandfather has that behavioral change, it will also influence the second generation after Baba. And then the daughters too, they are now safe. They will not be caught. They will not experience female genital mutilation. And they will also influence their peers. Baba's children will know that Baba has been to this training and he's not doing it again. So the narrative is changing, and we are trying to transform what we have to ensure that the future generation, our children, do not undergo the violence that is permissive, is so prevalent in the society. Like the gentleman was saying, even now under COVID-19, it is on the increase. You have children being raped, babies as young
and
as...
some by family members.
By family members. And violence is mostly perpetrated by those the children know. Because they have this trust that, this person has come into my family, the parents have allowed them in. So I will still bring it back to the roles of the fathers. Who do you bring into your house? When the children talk to you, do you trust them enough to investigate what they are telling you that they are experiencing? Or do you just say, shut up, children are not supposed to be talking like that? How can your uncle do that to you? When you have visitors or even your family, extended family members staying with you, or your friends coming in and then they are telling your daughter, oh, my wife.
Yeah.
And then they carry them on their laps. You know, we have to be so sensitive and very, very alert to ensure that that protector role that we have as fathers and also as mothers, we must be sure to do it so that we protect the future of these children. Any experience of violence, and you know it's not isolated. When a child is trying to say no, she can be beaten, for instance, or he can be beaten and told, shut up, you don't talk when elders are talking. So that is a form of emotional violence. We need to hear them. We need to listen to them. So we are really doing a lot, sensitizing both men and women, and with support of the government. I must give kudos to our government because we have the CRA, we have the VAP law that prohibits any form of violence. And thanks also to the European Union because we have what we call Spotlight Initiative, focusing on women and girls to say no to violence. So the prevalence of what we are seeing in the society today calls on parents, fathers now, because we are celebrating Father's Day, to take up their roles and responsibilities in a more active and proactive manner to say, no, we are going to protect our children and give it all it takes because we need to protect our future and ensure that our children grow up in a very good environment.
As we reel this conversation home now, yes, tomorrow is officially Father's Day. What are some of the good things that Nigerian fathers have been practicing, some good practices that our Nigerian fathers or African men in general do quite well, and what are some things that they still need to do? Your final words.
Yeah, I can tell you that the fathers, they take their responsibilities. Oh, I'm a provider. You know that one. It's
their pride.
It's their pride. Is that I mean not? But it's like, okay, I'm a provider. I can make provisions for the family. They do that.
Yeah.
They pay school fees. But it's not just about providing for the family or only paying school fees. Other aspects of what we do also, our roles and responsibilities in really, really protecting the family, not only provisioning, but protecting the family, protecting our children, who are our future. I continue to say it because we invest in our future right from now. So they do that very well. And I mean, no father will want any harm. But it's just their definition of harm. Because some fathers, in the name of disciplining, they don't know how to draw the line between what is disciplining in love and what constitutes a harm to the child. So I can give kudos to them and I celebrate them. I celebrate all fathers and I say, please continue in your roles and do more to ensure that our children are protected. Thank you.
Pastor Feb, your passing shots.
Thank you. I want to just say, yes, I think fathers definitely need to take a stronger role in the family. This new generation has been doing that well. They talk more, they spend more time. But I also want to continue to say, fathers, teach our sons, teach them about the future, talk to them about that. What happens today affects what happens to you tomorrow, your family. So the role of a father is very, very important. I want to encourage every man that's watching right now to continue to be a provider, like Odebode was saying, but also to be an example. Be someone that can love life unconditionally, someone that can love your children, because everything you do for them, you're doing for yourself, you're doing for your future and for your futures from that. So it's very important that we continue to stay strong for our families. Thank you.
Apostle, can we hear your final words? Thank you, Pastor Feb. Apostle?
Yeah, thank you. For me, father should yes. Hello?
Yes, please go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go on.
Yes, a father must, yes. I believe that the most important thing a father must do for the family is the godfather. So, you know, Feb is where he is today because his father raised him up with God. His father introduced him to God when he was quite young, and he's grown up today to be useful to the society. More than money, more than money. What a father owes the family is more than money. It's eternal life. And when you are sure that the future of your kids are sorted out, they're going to heaven. To me, that's the most important thing. My heart breaks when I see men who don't even talk about God to their kids, who don't even watch out for the spiritual growth of his kids. They think that being a father is just to pay the bills and meet the needs and all that. But to me, every father should please, number one, look for this God and bring this God home. Bring God to the family, bring God to the kids. And I tell you, when you do that, you are sure that those kids are going to grow up, to be a blessing, not just to their society, but to the entire nation. Thank you so much.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. And Madam, thank you so much for joining us. We wish the both of you and all fathers out there happy Father's Day. I do agree with Apostle. I believe one of the greatest gifts given to me by my parents is the privilege to know God for myself, and also the ability to, attain quality education and, as you said, provide for the family's needs. So thank you so much to all fathers out there. We celebrate you. Andy, no Father's Day for you yet.
Yes.
We celebrate you yet. We celebrate you, and we wish you a happy, happy, happy day tomorrow. And Chef Tabo, you're still on it. Is he almost ready?
Yeah. I'm just sauteing the sweet potato, and then we're going to go with the chicken.
It smells so nice in the
It
studio.
smells so good.
Thank
We're going to eat your Father's Day
good.
meal here. So we'll take a short break. When we return, more on the weekend show. Don't go anywhere.